Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 903.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about how to fly first class at a bargain price. This comes to us from CNBC.com, and when I saw this article, I thought I have to share this on the podcast because the headline said, "Flying first class will be the most affordable over the next 6 to 9 months. Here's how to find great deals." Now, a lot of us would like to fly first class, but sometimes it's just too expensive. But the good news is there's going to be some changes made because of COVID and because of seats opening up, and maybe on certain flights, there's less traffic, so there's going to be greater bargains. So I wanted to share this information with you in case you're out there going to be traveling again, and you can find out how to fly first class at a discount. So the article says, odds are you know the feeling all too well. You're boarding what promises to be a very long flight, and as you shuffle down to seat 107E, you take a look at the first class passengers, comfortably seated, drinks in hand, and think, someday I'll be able to afford this. That day may have finally come. With many vacationers still reluctant to travel as pandemic restrictions lift, and business travel in the early stages of recovery, airlines are being forced to lower prices to get butts in seats. That includes those near the front of the plane. If you have the means and you've been interested in flying premium, it's probably going to be at its most affordable over the next 6 to 9 months, says Scott Keyes, founder of travel newsletter Scott's Cheap Flights. The window is now open to be able to get some of those seats at a discount. Remember that even steeply discounted business class seats are going to cost drastically more than what you'll pay in coach. Without being able to rely on business travelers, airlines are having to price their premium seats for affluent vacationers, says Keyes. Even at a discount from pre-pandemic prices, they're still going to be much higher than economy seats. On flights to Europe, for instance, Keyes is seeing round-trip business class seats popping up for as little as $1,500. That's a big discount from the $2,500 you would normally expect to pay, but still significantly higher than the cheapest coach seats to Europe, which are currently going for as low as $400. If you're looking for a deal on business class seats, you may have better luck on long-haul domestic flights, Keyes says. We're starting to see domestic business class fares in August in the $900 range, he says. If you can find something under $750, it would be a real steal. Now, here are the things to keep in mind when shopping for premium plane tickets. Number 1, the more flexibility you have, the better your odds. When it comes to finding the cheapest fares for premium seats, the rules aren't much different from finding cheap economy fares, says Keyes. The more flexibility you have, the better your odds of finding a cheap fare. Using a flight search tool such as Google Flights to browse different dates and alternative airports for your departure and arrival will improve your chances at snagging a deal. So I have to stop right there and say, I have never heard of Google Flights. Google, Flights. I didn't know such a thing existed. So that is really interesting that you can go to that search tool and find different dates and airports that you might be able to depart from or arrive to. The article goes on to say, one way to better your odds is planning to make a stop, flying out of a smaller airport, then connecting to a major hub. Since business travelers can't afford to pay extra for convenience, you tend to see inflated prices for business class when flights are nonstop, Keyes said. If you're flying JFK to Rome, it might be cheaper to fly Hartford to JFK to Rome. There's likely going to be lower demand for that itinerary. To navigate a tricky market with uneven demand, it may be worth it to consult a pro, says Henry Hartfeld, president of Atmosphere Research Group. This is where a professional travel agency can be extremely helpful, he says. They may have access to unpublished consolidator fares. Number 2, check for upgrades. Even if you decide that a premium economy or business class fare is too rich for your blood, you may be able to snag a premium seat through an airline's loyalty program, says Brian Kelly, founder and CEO of The Points Guy. Historically, even with executive platinum status, you'd have to hold on until the day of departure, and then you'd be at the gate begging for an upgrade, he says. Now you can get confirmed into business class when you book. I've never seen more upgrade space at the time of booking. Upgrades are typically awarded to people with higher status first. But with fewer high-status travelers at airports overall these days, you have a better chance at a luxe seat, even if your airline miles card isn't made out of pure gold. Plus, your status might be better than you remember. Due to the pandemic, most airlines extended travelers' 2019 status to this year or significantly lowered requirements to keep it through this year and 2022, according to the Points Guy. If you aren't upgraded when you book, you may be able to select an open premium seat on your aircraft free of charge when you check in online 24 hours before your flight, Kelly says. If that's not an option, check to see how many unoccupied premium seats there are when you check in. The more open spots, the more likely a gate agent is to bump you up to a better seat. Number 3, make sure you know what you're paying for. If you've shopped around and found a great premium fare, don't stop there. The quality of premium economy or business class seats varies a lot between airlines. For most economy flights, the experience tends to be roughly the same, says Keyes, but premium experiences can be significantly different. Some business class seats recline a couple inches and are a couple inches bigger. Some turn into a bed and you get a steak dinner. To check if the seat you've booked is up to your standards, all 3 experts recommend entering your flight information at seatguru.com. That's SEATGURU.com. The site will show which aircraft you're likely to be flying on with a breakdown of the amenities for each class. Newer, wide-body, 2-aisle aircraft tend to have plusher perks, Key says. You can't just assume you're going to get a lie-flat seat when you book, he said. You need to make sure you're booking the type of seat and the type of cabin you're looking for. Once you have an idea of where you'll be sitting, double-check that the airline you've booked is currently providing service that's up to snuff, says Hartfeld. A lot of airlines have continued to use the pandemic as an excuse to cut back on in-flight catering, he says. A lot of it has resembled high school cafeteria meals at best and prison food at worst. Oh my. Check out online travel groups such as Frequent Traveler Communities on Facebook to get a sense of what airlines are offering. You'll see trip reports where people document their flights, often with pictures of their seats, meals, pillows, blankets, and entertainment, Hartfeld says. These are individual and subjective, of course, so it's important to read through a few of these before you book. End of article. And I will post a link to this in the show notes for you. Well, this was very interesting to me. I learned a lot actually in this article because I didn't know about the Google Flight Search tool. I didn't know about the seatguru.com and how you can actually check all your information about your aircraft. And then how there are these frequent flyer Facebook groups that actually will tell you what their experience was and even provide pictures to show you what it looked like and what they had on their flight. So those are some really important tools. Now it's going to take time to do these things, but if you have a big trip planned and you're planning to spend a lot of money for that trip, then it's worth it to take the time to do all this research and maybe give yourself a little bit of comfort going and coming from your vacation. If you're making a very long trip, especially overseas, that can make a huge difference to arrive rested and feeling good instead of exhausted and cramped and angry about flying coach. So check this out. I think there's great information in here, and because of the pandemic, there might even be some bargain prices that could get you into first class or at least maybe a better seat than you might normally have had. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified when new podcasts are available and you'll never miss one of them. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.